Welcome to Maple Life TV, where we explore the stories of innovators and trailblazers who are reshaping the world. Today, we are delighted to feature Juan Gray, a figure whose story transcends the traditional boundaries of career and passion to embody the essence of entrepreneurial spirit in the entertainment industry. Juan Gray, from aspiring professional soccer player to celebrated actor, writer, and producer, is quite the narrative of resilience, adaptation, and audacious pursuit of passion. In this exclusive interview, we'll uncover the layers of his entrepreneurial journey, how he navigated the complexities of the industry, the mindset that propelled him forward, and the milestones that has marked his path to success. Whether you are an aspiring entrepreneur or someone fascinated by the power of reinvention, Juan's story is a testament to the incredible feats achievable with perseverance and passion. Do not miss out this inspiring conversation with Juan Gray. So Juan, you have already been an entrepreneur from a very young age. Can you share with us any pivotal moment in which you, in your early life, felt that spark, that interest in entrepreneurship?
Yes, so that spark, it's interesting. I think that for me, there was always a feeling of unknown, but also familiarity when it came to what we call entrepreneurship. Because that's what it comes down to, isn't it? It's just being able to create something that in one way or the other is going to impact the person's life in a way that is profound and that is ideally consistent. Because you can create one thing one time, one person, and that's it. But what if you can create that and keep that going consistently, right? So for me, it actually started when I was 13 years old, and it usually starts with a problem, or it starts with some kind of pain, regardless of how big or small that feeling of pain is. It starts with some kind of with something that usually resonates in a way that you want change. You want to create something different. And for me, it actually started with wanting to fit in with a certain group of friends when I was younger. I remember resonating with like rap. And when it came to that, there's certain ways that like a lot of my friends who were really into rap and were older, they were dressing. And some of them had hats, they had this. So I saw a hat I really liked one day at the store. And there was a store not too far from my school. Now that hat was very expensive. It was $50, $60, $70 for like some really cool exclusive hats. Long story short, there was not really an opportunity to get that. So I would ask, let's just say I would ask family or my mother, hey, can I get this hat? But it was like, no. Like,
Why?
Yeah, and so I said, okay, there must be another way that I can do it before you have any money, right? So I found this website, and this website had all these different hats, and these hats were hats that were unique, they were exciting, and most importantly, it said that they were like $10, $12.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so when you see that, you said, okay, that's something that feels more reasonable if you want to have, right? And I found this friend, and this friend had an older brother, and this older brother had a credit card. He had just got a credit card. He was 18 years old. And so I had to convince him. And so I got cash, then I told him, I convinced him, and you have to, be resilient.
Yeah.
And then from there, he said, you know what, okay, go. So I put his credit card in, and I went back, and that was it. And I wait a week, no hats come. 2 weeks, no hats. And I started messaging back and forth with the person on the other side. And for a second, I thought, you know what, maybe I did get scammed. And at some point, I came back from school, and there was a box in front of my house. And that box right there was a box that had these hats. So that's just an example of like something that when you try things, right, you start seeing, okay, it was tangible, it was real, it materialized. So I took that and I said, wow, like this is real, right? And so what I did is I started wearing that hat, and then from there people were like, wait, where'd you get that hat? I didn't see that at the...
So did you end up selling these hats to your friends?
What happened is that from there I called it Juan's Hats, and then I took all the pictures that was on the website and I made a entire collection and
like a catalog?
A catalog, yeah. And I brought that catalog to school, and then from there people would say choose which one they wanted.
That's so
and
cool.
You realize, if you're selling them for 35, at some point instead of having it for 10, you can it comes
Yeah.
down, right? So that was it. And at some point, you know, it was generating a couple $1,000s like
That's
a week.
epic.
Or yeah, it was something that I started doing at soccer games as well. Soccer games. I would go to soccer games, and after the soccer game, when I'm done the game, I would go and say, "Hey guys, would you like some hats?" And then from there, that's kind of how it got started. And when you want to create something and you can see how you can, you know, offer it to people, because I wasn't looking really to make money on anything like that. I was just looking in a way to fit in, right? And as strong as that is, at the end of the day, it comes back to so many years later, people not only want to fit in, but they want to connect.
Yeah.
And it really brings you to connection, because we talk about it as fitting in, but really it wasn't really fitting in. It was just a deeper connection
Sense of
that
belonging.
I was wanting, belonging, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what a lot of people want at the end of the day.
That is so true.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about your role in Deadly Class and how this experience highlighted your passion for understanding human behavior and character psychology. Like we've talked about belonging as such a force for human behavior. Can you tell us a little bit about how the show, your role in it, and how this experience influenced your approach to business, and especially with purpose?
Very interesting question that I have never thought about before. I think that it's one thing to act, and it's another thing to embody a character fully. And so there's actually a quote by Marlon Brando, who is an incredible actor, and he says, "I cannot play a character until I'm able to think like him," right? And so, and to do that, you really need to experience life in many different ways and actually have really compassion for people, right? You can only start thinking like someone once you've been in their shoes, in one way or the other. I can only play, let's say, if I was to play someone without a home and who's on the street, if I've actually felt that in one way or the other. And that's, I think, what makes me very multidimensional, is that I had a lot of different experiences in many different places and felt an array of emotions. You realize that every single person has their own character, right? And is playing the game of life. And through that process of playing the game of life, there's one main thing that gives you abundance of energy and of drive and of feeling that at the end of the day is actually unconditional love. And that's a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning, a sense of that's the drive that the difference between someone who wakes up in the morning and gets out because they feel there's nothing that brings you out more than a sense of purpose, right? Money will only do it for so long. Right? Money is not the end goal. It's just something that happens. It's energy exchange in the process. And I feel that in our society there is a lot of people that are confused within what that purpose feels like, right? And the thing is that also we think that purpose is a destination, which really is the journey itself, and it's more about being on path than about being, you know, towards a certain goal.
Wow.
And final destination.
Yeah. What would you do in order to kind of allow people to trust that we all are on like exactly where we need to be? Like what do you keep turning back to? Connection
with divine. Like connection with what you feel is in that moment divine to you. You know, that being God, that feeling like a sense of a conversation with universal power, you know, and at the end, I think it will all bring you back to the same place as long as you're open to that conversation, right? And so being open to that conversation to more than just you and just, it comes down to conversation, because the more that you have conversation with people and you start having higher level conversations, or even enlightening conversations, which really are conversations based on fundamental truths, right? And where they resonate strongly. How does a conversation, how does a truth resonate? It's expansive. It feels real. It feels like flow, right? And so how does your own journey and the decisions that you're taking on a day-to-day, do they feel expansive or are they contracting in your body? Like I know what it feels like when you're doing something and it's purely like you're not supposed to be there and it's just contracting and all of that feeling, compared to the opposite. Now you can be highly on purpose on your path, but it's still hard. That does not mean it's not difficult. That does not mean you have days where you just like completely, you know, don't want to do it or don't feel, but there's something, a force that's beneath that is like, you know, that it is, you know? And so I think that that feeling right there is a feeling that is just it's higher than a drug. you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you balance your love for creativity with the pragmatic aspects of running a business? Do you ever find that your artistic sensibilities inform your business decisions? And in what way would you not go over the top?
I am definitely an artist at heart, and I think sometimes being a CEO, and I've been a CEO where we have a big team. I've been, with a smaller team, and at the end of the day, it just comes down to belief in the vision at hand, and through that, I mean, at the end of the day, how we get to that vision, that's art.
Yeah.
In business, because I feel business is a spiritual process, and the more that we can create artistic approach to the way that we actually make things happen, the more that we can fuel and stay fueled as a team, especially when you work with a lot of artists, which I tend to do, because you tend to attract people not necessarily that are the same as you in terms of skill sets, because that's not very useful, but it is useful to have people that are aligned on values and on energetic alignment. Like that's one thing that I'm planning to really step into from a leadership standpoint, how anyone who joins our team, the organization per se, is how do they connect on an energetic level together. If you put 3 people in a room, there's actually frequency between people, right? And so how does that? And that goes beyond, and it actually transcends simply personality tests.
Yeah.
Right? Because personality test is one dimension. We're moving we're moving up. That's why even this logo, right? Like this actually represents how you move up in levels and dimensions in your own personal self-actualization, and how you start with one person and then you can actually go into more people. Like you're creating your own tribe, right? Your own community. It's also a V within, which is your voice, the voice of the visionary, which is the V within purpose, and it's also game. You see, I don't know if you can see the cards lined up. It's like there's cards that you can grab the card at the top, right? And there's a couple more things like that. It's a triangle flipped around. There's a lot.
So
There's a lot
symbolic.
I tend to do that in branding because I feel like it's important to have that foundation in it.
Well, that's good to know that V means for voice. What fears have you previously dealt with holding you back? And 2, what did you do to overcome them?
I don't feel fears. I don't know what you're talking about. I think that when you know it's a fear, it's because of how it resonates and how it feels. I talk about that because it's one thing that you can actually pay attention to, and we're not really taught to pay attention to how things actually make us feel. And I'm the first one to say that because I actually denied all feelings for a long time when it comes to that stuff, right? And so I'm actually learning the process of feeling all his emotions in that space and saying, okay, what does that feel like? Now you have different opportunity when you feel, let's just say, a fear, right? Do you let that hinder you and just stop you? Which actually, a lot of very high achievers, they actually initially can feel paralyzed because of the fear. But once you realize that you've had that it kind of can paralyze parts of you, then you go deeper into it. And in that depth, you actually heal whatever was actually being paralyzed. And when you transmute that energy, now it's fuel. So it's like slingshot, right? So you have a slingshot, and these fears are bringing back, but they're only bringing back to come in much stronger, right? And so it's all mindset. It's really all mindset. And when you feel that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be moved, right?
Transformed.
So it can only be transformed. And so while you transform that fear, it actually gives you a lot more. So actually, it's not that feeling fear is bad, but the feeling of being fearless actually comes down from transmutation of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That just kind of reminded me of have you ever heard of Vipassana retreats?
Yes.
Silent retreats. So in those retreats, you basically peel back the layers day by day by going deeper into silence and meditation. And it's kind of like a slingshot. Like the teacher talks about it that
Yeah,
way.
really
Just
nice.
go all the way back and then.
Yeah, that's how steps back actually allow you to take steps forward. But the only difference is having the awareness and deciding to be a person that's actually taking that in, because you can also just be playing victim the whole time and just staying there and not moving that energy, right?
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who is at the crossroads of choosing between a stable career and pursuing their creative talents and their creative dreams, which may sometimes be wrapped up with lots of fears?
I'll tell you to play the purpose game. One question, for example, says, what would you regret if you played it safe your entire life? Go deep into that answer, right? Go deep into it, and you'll probably figure out that you'll regret everything. Like, you'll regret a lot. So that's where the deeper you go, and this is for all human beings, by the way. Like, if you go to a point, it's just again, the difference is the awareness and how trapped you are in conditioning. Because it's conditioned by design. There is not only a system, but there is an entire algorithm that is literally made to trap you. And that's just the truth. Now, we don't have to step into the reasons of that right now, but just know that that is something to consider. And if that was to be true, right? If that was to be true, well, where do you want to be living? And you might need to change your paradigm to be able to look at things in a different light, because it's only when you're able to look at things from a different perspective that you can see what was always there. Yeah.
Lovely acronyms.
Yeah.
I need to get all these flashcards. So now with the launch of the Purpose cards game fashion line, it seems you're continually looking to expand the boundaries of your brand and the business. What is that next big step for Purpose? And how do you envision its impact on both the entertainment and entrepreneurial worlds?
So there's a lot. I'll touch real quickly on the where and just our reason behind that. You know, everything that we do, we have an intention for it, and it's important that we stay consistent with what the big mission is and why purpose really exists, right? So we believe also in talked about trailblazing. Well, trailblazing through industries, but doing it with purpose. And so for us, when it comes to fashion, we think that there's so much more than just wearing something because it looks good, but also wearing something because it embodies who you truly are, the purpose beyond that, and because there is, what if there was a utility to doing that? And so here's an example. Imagine that every single shirt that you bought or whatever, since you were a young kid, every time that you had a new piece of clothing, you actually were able to get connected with yourself on a deeper level, and you actually won from the process of doing that. So you were not only purchasing, you were actually investing in your higher timeline. How cool would that have been? Well, now you can. And that's what purpose wear actually is. It's an opportunity to grow on a personal level and to ascend into the person you are meant to be. Why? Because purpose actually cares about that, which most brands don't. They're just looking to make a profit and to sell you a shirt. And I'm tired of that. You know, so that's why we are doing it differently, and it's something that we have a longer term horizon for it, but it is something that we have planted the seeds for, and really revolutionizing fashion in that way. And what's really cool too, since we're all about connection and growth, so the growth aspect is that when you actually get any piece of garment from purpose, you now have an ability to take from that what we call these purpose coins, and you can use it in your own personal growth right away. Yeah. Second of all, there's a connection aspect. So we actually connect you with a person you are meant to meet through whatever you get. If I get a hat, you are now, the purpose team now is going to focus on connecting you, because we have a big network and it's only going to get bigger. So now we can connect you. So after you actually purchase, you get a questionnaire that asks you a couple key questions. What are you looking to do? Who are you looking to meet? What's next for you? What are your top goals right now? What's your priority? And from there, we get that information and we connect you to Eric, to Juliana, to John, to Pedro.
Wow.
And now the person is someone that you just met, and relationships says everything, right? They say your net worth is your net worth. Well, I would go beyond that the net worth that you actually have has not to do with who you know or who knows you, but who you actually meet on a deeper level and how you can actually connect and create. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am blown away by the added benefits of this fashion line.
Added benefits, value stack.
I had no idea. Okay, now I know what's the, you
Wait
know,
till you
that
see the
added
lander.
value. Pardon?
So wait till you see the lander. So the landing page, I'm just joking here.
I definitely want to get one of those. Thank you so much. Let's make a cheers to that with our
Cheers to
tea.
that. Yes, absolutely.